All right, welcome everybody to the Leadership Mastermind podcast. I am your host, Mitch Peak, and this is my amazing co-host, Laura Brandeo. Hey, Laura.
Hello, Mitch. Well, we have a very special guest today, my good friend and the one and only Christine Beckwith. She is the award-winning executive sales leader who spent 30 years in the mortgage finance industry. She's a best-selling and award-winning author, and Christine branched out in 2018 to begin her dream as the founder and president of 2020 Vision for Success Coaching and Consulting. After breaking many glass ceilings in the mortgage and banking industry, Christine is also a columnist for many magazines and has her own duo of magazines. She's, of course, an advocate for women, dedicating a complete division in her own company to the cause, and amongst many causes and communities that she touches at a vast level. Christine will also tell you that writing, teaching, and speaking are all the core of who she is, enabling her legacy work with a commitment to make a difference in the lives of professionals and youth everywhere.
Yay! I'm so glad to be here, and congrats, you guys, on this awesome duo yourself. I love this this matchup here, and I know it's going to be powerful. And you have the same heart as I have, for service of others and sharing information and helping people learn new things and new ways. So I'm really, really happy to be here.
Honored to be here.
Yep.
Let's jump right in.
We are excited to have you, Christine, as you know. So I just want to get started right away for the audience and ask you the big question. What are your 3 key pillars to leadership?
Yeah, so, it's hard to narrow down to 3. I have so many things, but, if you're referring to me, myself, my own pillars of leadership, I would tell you that I'm a very consistent person. So I think consistency is really key. I think setting an example of consistency is key. I think people respect leaders who are consistently working hard and showing up. And I don't think it's easy to do. I think that, being a leader is hard, it's taxing. And so you have a lot of room for error. And so that's one of the ways when I look back, and I've written about this in my books, that I think I've excelled is I've outlasted, outpaced, and, outworked my competition by truly just consistently showing up every single day. So that's number 1. Number 2, I would tell you that I operate under the guise of a chemistry of 80% aggression, assertion, and 20% kindness. Now, that might sound like it should be the reverse. So I want to explain. It doesn't mean that I'm only kind 20% of the time. What it means is that's the pillar or the bottom base of everything I do. So it's consistently always there. I have been raised by a Christian Baptist man, my father, who taught me very young that, you approach all things from kindness, and that if you come from a place where people are first, that it will have great ROI to always approach things from that perspective. And that was such a great gift for him to give me. He had that discussion with me, and I remember exactly where we were sitting and what we were talking about. I was getting ready to go away to college, and that was his dad's, with me flying the coop advice. And it was really, really good. So the base of everything I do comes from a kindness place. In fact, if I think I'm going to act unkind, I just don't do the act. And so on top of that comes the aggression and the assertion part. So many leaders are afraid to assert themselves, or even to maybe face controversy or conflict. And so what I tell leaders and the way that I operate is, and I've learned this from my own coach, you can't grow around conflict, and you can't bypass controversy. In leadership, you have to be prepared to directly take that on. You have to be the one that is more assertive, taking bigger and bolder risk, taking steps, showing by example that you're willing to do so, standing up to your cause, your purpose, defending yourself if you need to do that. And to other people, that can look non-politically correct, by the way. And so I have a reputation of being aggressive, but I also think that the people that are behind me know I care tremendously about them. And so Stephen Covey says that the combination of aggression and kindness is the secret recipe to excellent leadership. So that's number 2. And then finally, number 3, I'm going to give to authenticity. I don't know where in my career it became popular, and I would be lying if I didn't admit that for a long time in my career, I worked really hard to fit in and not stand out. And so in my 20s, I pulled my hair back. I wore less makeup. I wore really plain buttoned up suits, you know, and of course, you know, I still think we should all dress for success and that we should all look professional, of course. So don't take it the wrong way. However, I really under accentuated my femininity because I felt if I could not stick out that way, that I would blend in a little bit better at the boardroom table, so to speak. And so that's just one example. You know, also, you know, just really navigating, you know, keeping my opinion to myself when I thought it might be controversial. And we all know now that that's not happening, right? So somewhere along the way, it became popular and more mainstream. And we know Gary Vaynerchuk, who I follow and have spoken for and love, you know, he came out with the whole be real, be authentic. And it was kind of disruptive social media, and not everybody bought into that because we come from the world of mortgage industry, banking, and real estate, and it's very buttoned up. And so where was the room for that? And so it was a huge leap for me to take that authenticity on. And it was actually very liberating for me. When I wrote my first book in 2018, I finally wrote about things I had never talked about in my 30-year career. And so I'll finish by saying it was a process, but it allowed me to get honest with my own voice to the public. And so today I operate fully from a place of that authenticity. Having an image of me wearing a leather jacket, which was the first photograph on the very first ad on November 1st in 2018 that my chief marketing officer urged me to use. And I thought it was crazy because I'm like, I'd never been in a leather jacket picture in 30 years. That was nuts, I thought. And she said, you want this coaching company to represent you. You're going to connect with people in this new realm if you're the most authentic of yourself, because you have to fish with the bait that's real. And so, you know, you're now going to be in the people business. You're going to be in the business of helping human beings, and they're only going to be attracted to you if they fully understand who you are. And so we let that rip on 7 full-page ads in major magazines, and then that's it. The page turned, and here I am now. Now I just did a cover in front of my motorcycle, even crazier. And so there it is. You know, in summary, I think those 3 things really are helpful for leaders.
Well, those are amazing. And I know you could just keep going. I know you could just be like number 4, number 5, number 6. So I know you could keep going, but let's dive into those a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So the first one, consistency.
Yeah.
How important is consistency, right? Because you said also people are watching. Mm-hmm. They are. Our teams are watching. Our children are watching.
Yeah.
People that we don't know are watching. And having that consistency, and then couple that with authenticity. So now you're consistent and you're being yourself. That is where that magic happens. And then you threw in standing up for what you believe is right, standing behind in front of your team or whoever it is that you're, leading to sometimes take a road that other people may question, but standing true to that. Honestly, Christine, as you were saying these things, I can think of some very specific things in 2020 that all of those flew into, right?
Yeah.
And many a time you and I had conversations of, boy, we hope we're making the right decision.
Yeah.
But fast forward, right? Now, you had an incredible 2020, no pun intended, right? with your company here. But you had an amazing 2020 of seeing you leaning into all of these three that you mentioned. And with that, I'd like to know, what were some of the things that happened in 2020? Because you had many accomplishments. And what were some of the lessons learned there?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the very first thing that, like anyone that's starting a new company, people ask me all the time, like, how do you do it? How do you get to year 3? How do you make it profitable? How do you do all these things? I'm going to tell you, like, I obviously operate from a business plan, and I do all the things I teach. So without going down the rabbit hole of the techniques and tactics that I operate my business from, and I come bearing a ton of experience in executive leadership from 24 years at senior levels. And so, I've been on the merry-go-round for a really long time of fast-paced, even emergent leadership where you're doing stuff. I look at this past year, and I'm most proud of right around the month of March. What was happening is we were seeing the volatility of the economic markets occurring. Margin calls were occurring across the nation, and banks were answering to 600 times the volume. And so the investors were nervous, and all kinds of things were happening. We were tuning into Barry Habib with our coffees every morning and hanging on for our dear lives. And then this little thing happened on March 7th, the global pandemic and the national implication of quarantine. And so right at that moment and intersection, I was coming off of 15 days of travel. Yeah. I had gone to the Annie Mac Home Mortgage President's Club in Puerto Rico. I had flown from there to Miami, and I opened the Lenders One conference. And with the women's safety and my book, Clear Boundaries, I flew from Miami to Chicago and hosted the first of its kind Women with Vision market area dinner with Laura K. Shealy from ArchMI, with a sold out room and a book signing, and then flew from there to Irvine to attend the AIM conference. And during that process, the whole nation was shutting down.
Yeah.
When I came back and then all this occurred, I literally saw accounts quit us, non-QM lenders that were shutting down. And then I also saw, that we were not going to be able to fulfill our business plan of going out to market areas and speaking at conventions and being in booths. And so really we had the rug ripped out from underneath us. So fast forward, in summary, our whole team had to pivot. We had to write a new, road while racing this race car down the tracks, and then lay the bricks out in front of the car while moving, because we had a student body that we were, and not act like we were in an emergent situation, having lost 6 figures worth of contracts, having a staff I wanted to keep employed. Now it's January. I'm going to tell you what we laid in front of those tracks became successful. We launched 2 national magazines that were not on our radar to do till 2021 or 2022. So we pulled that up. We hired 6 people in our editorial and marketing team and made the investment there. And then we started soliciting, a different pool of clients. And we had different tactics that had to perform on a virtual level. Most of our company was virtual. I'm happy to tell you, we caught up with our business plan in December.
Look at that.
Yeah. So March, April, May, it wasn't there. So, I won some awards this year. I won a FinTech most top 20 in the banking industry FinTech award from Progress in Lending, which I'm super proud of. I've seen, I'm no longer in the mortgage business specifically. So my awards that I had received, awesome as a leader. I don't even participate in those. I'm really happy to have an award now that I give to industry leaders, one that you've won twice. And the list of women that have won it is
incredible.
So prestigious. Marsha Davies, Desiree Patno. I mean, this is the who's who of women leaders in the industry. So what I will tell you is, I look back and what I'm most proud of in 2020 is, applying the same things I tell businesses every single day, which is be ready to pivot.
Yep.
2021 is scary to the mortgage industry because we don't know what's going to happen with Democratic policy on economics. We don't know what's going to happen, and will the rate and term refi market dry up? And so I'm more focused than ever on preparing my troops to pivot and to focus on the solutions that will solve to a future problem I see coming. So we're teaching overcoming rate classes. We're focusing on the other types of refinances that really still are going to be there with equity in homes and stuff like that.
Listen, Christine, when you and I met in 2018, we were speaking about the riches are in the niches. Do you remember that? We were saying at that time in 2018, we were like, you can't rely on rates coming down. The key is, now we all know it's all cycles, right? Yeah. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready to pivot. You have to always be watching and paying attention. And that's one of the joys of our industry, right? Is that it's not always the same. We get to ride the different cycles, and you're guiding people and opening them up to realizing and preparing them for those changes. And that's what all of your team is providing, which is so valuable.
And I will say this, you and Laura are both up for the Build Your Empire Top 3 Leading Ladies Mortgage Award.
Yeah.
We will be announcing in February now. So you guys are both on that list. So
I love it. I love those opportunities because that's what really those are. It's opportunities. I've always, and I know Laura does this as well. If you have something that's bestowed upon you, it's just another opportunity to share our voice, our vision, our lessons. Laura and I have had hard conversations this past year. We went through a lot together, including, everything that went on with AIM. And we just found ourselves, strong. I'm really proud of the decisions we made. I think we did incredible in light of some really high pressured situations. We stayed true to who we are. That was really the discussion.
That was
Who are we? And we both admitted that we're that true blue, loyal leader and partner. And we stuck with that, and we're going to continue to stick with that because that's just the authentic who we are. And so that was the right thing to do. There's no wrong if you're who you are. And so it was very natural.
And that's a good lesson, Christine, just to speak, because this is all about leadership, right? Yeah. That's what this is about. And leadership is not just, people sometimes think leadership is, I have a team of 100 people that. Right. Leadership is also yourself. It's taking care of yourself. And then it's for your families. It's for your teams. It's for your clients. For everyone we serve, we're leading. And when it goes back to, again, those decisions that we make every single day, just be true to yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's who you are, right? You have to be okay with those decisions.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, I will say this. Obviously, 2020, I think, brought a lot of people to the forefront looking for leadership that maybe weren't in the past. So I think, you filled that void very well. Because, people are like, what are we going to do? There's a pandemic. I don't know where my business is going to go.
Yeah.
And you've definitely done a great job. I see your name and your company's name all over the place with other large companies now. So I want to say kudos for that. So give our listeners a little piece of advice here, a little nugget of what they should do to pivot with 2021. What is the number one thing you think people should do to keep their head on straight?
Yeah, I think you need to imagine the world. I always operate, and so do executives, by their techniques in a best base worst case scenario. If you can live, when you're a leader of a large team, your decisions impact way past your desk. So if you can live with the worst case scenario, it's never a wrong decision. You want to hit base at a minimum, and of course you're shooting for best. And so in 2021, if the rates come up, which would be the worst case scenario, Again, that's going to be a sign of a strong economy. We're not in 2008 where equity doesn't exist in people's homes when there was a supply and demand issue. We have great demand, with the millennial buyers pool, which is still the largest buyers pool. So with the known fact that there's going to be equity in homes, people will still refinance. So our education at 2020 is going to be focused on, let's look at all the reasons Americans will choose a higher interest rate loan. Why would they take a higher interest rate loan over a rate and term loan that they might have done in the past? Well, I can recite, 20 off the top of my head. And you know what they are. It's the people needing college money, debt consolidation. It's the people that are moving and relocating, doing home improvements. There's millions of reasons, lowering their term, expanding their term because their financial situations change. And their
I
house.
think credit card debt is probably going to be one of those biggest things.
Sure.
After the pandemic and a lot of people being, out of work. So credit cards may have been people's stronghold for the last 9 months.
Yes,
Sure.
I agree with that. And I think if you remember that people's home is typically their greatest asset, and that we need to get out of the old school thinking that our grandparents told us to pay our mortgages off. Our assets should be leveraged as vehicles. And the wealthiest people do not pay cash for their homes because they then lose their tax write-offs. They leverage themselves to the highest amount, keep their liquidity as high as it possibly can be, and their revolving debt as low as it possibly can be. And so if you can understand that mental wealth equation, then you understand rates going up is not going to dry our pool up. Will we lose the rate and term refi? Yes. Will we lose refis? No. So there's got to be this minor pivot with LOs. I'm teaching all the other ways. So I'm saying to LOs listening right now, sharpen your other tools in your toolbox, but don't fret. This is not 2008. People are still going to be buying. People are still going to be refinancing. The rate and term is the only part that we have to worry about. Yeah.
That makes total sense. That makes total sense. And again, we've been through these cycles before. This is nothing new.
That's correct.
We don't even necessarily know if 21 that will be the case.
That's
right?
correct.
So we're going to be prepared. We're going to be aware, but that doesn't mean we have to sit there waiting for the sky to fall. I mean, look at what our industry accomplished in 2020. In 2020, so much adapting had to occur to all of us. People went remote. People are no longer going to the office. They're doing everything digitally. And we did it as an industry. So now that that's behind us, okay, here's our new normal. We've adapted. Now let's plan accordingly and be aware of what may change so that if it happens, we're there. So, Christine, what are some of the other things? Dive into your company. And I know you have all these different modules and all these different ways. Tell everyone, share, what are some of the different components that you do offer at 2020?
Yeah. So we just had a commercial hit yesterday because it's so funny. The number one question we get is, tell us, what do you guys do? Because I think people are starting to realize we really are a different animal. So I'll try to give you the very short version of this. What I decided after hiring most of the other coaches in my tenure, who I love, who have servant's heart, who obviously solved to a number of problems in the mortgage industry for clients that hired them, is that we were going to be an a la carte consulting firm. So if you drive your car, your vehicle is your business, into our warehouse, we legitimately have all of these resources for modern marketing to take you the distance. Let's say you bring your business here and your problem is not production. It's, I don't do my accounting well. Well, we're going to have you work with our financial forensics coach. That may include building a set of reporting systems, illustrating them through Excel. It might include gathering forecasts from the sales team for that group that's on and teaching real finance, banking techniques to brokers that don't know these forecasting techniques that are vital to their businesses. It might be a deeper dive economics discussion for the broker that's new and doesn't know that part of running an actual brokerage. And so we have 11 executive coaches, soon to be 15, and they're experts in all these areas: health and wellness, trauma, relationship, strategy. 8 of them come from 20 years or greater mortgage experience. So when they're talking to you, they know your gig because they are doing your gig or have done your gig. But they're experts in specific areas. We also have a virtual curriculum school. Why? Because it's a pharmacy of education. If you can imagine, we have common problems amongst lots of companies that come to us: time management, business planning, overcoming pricing objections, lots of things, emotional intelligence, social media marketing. Well, our curriculum is available 24/7 in the most mobile of ways, on their iPhones, on their Bluetooths, in their cars, while they're running at the gym. And we have a syllabus of classes. We have account executives assigned to them that are keeping them on an educational path. It's a 30-minute per month commitment, so super easy for the hectic learner that's here. We have a reading library where you can take articles out and you can put them in your CRM. You can give them to your team. When you become certified in the education on our platform, you then can become the trainer of the content. So for instance, if you take time management, our Kick the Clock class, and now you think my team would benefit from this, we allow you to play our class from our dashboard to your team if you've been certified. So the content flips outside in that realm as well. Finally, there's 34 staff members here today. You know,
Wow.
you graduate, I know it's crazy. The
Wow,
growth
that's
we've had.
great.
And, you know, when you get over to masters, you have the ability to have graphic designers. You can write in our magazines. You can be written about in our magazines. You can mentor other students. And so I think what we do really well is we don't tell you what you have to do. This is not the place where it's all production minded. We have really good production tools to increase production for people with those problems. However, we don't assume that all of you have that problem. We aren't come here and drop and give me 50 push-ups and now you're all set and you're fixed. We are come with your business. There's a series of things you do up front that we examine just like doctors, and then we begin progressive development towards the problems. You're sitting on our doctor's table telling us you have a knee ache, not an earache. We're going to fix your knee. We're going to bring the knee doctor in. So just that's how it works. It's just this enormous community. People pay membership fees monthly. Our prices kick the butts. I don't mind saying, you heard me. I hope you guys are listening. We kick the butts of our competition in low prices because everybody is communicative in their membership fees. We don't want to be the thing on people's P&Ls that stand out as too expensive. We want them to stay a good long time. And they can even use us in conjunction with other coaches because we're so affordable. But the idea is a buffet. Do we lose money on some people that eat everything we have here some months? We do. Do we have other people that don't, you know, they have a busy month and they don't use everything? That happens too. But it's affordable, so they're not quitting it. That's, I think, very unique.
To me, it almost seems like you have the idea of a business college the way it should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you kind of take what you feel you need.
right.
That's
You know,
right.
you see people go to school and pay all this money to get a degree, but they're taking, you know, classes that they have no idea. You know, I have a friend that's, you know, in nursing school.
Yeah.
And she said, I have this project. I need to watch a live rock concert. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, I have to take this rock history class, you know, at school. And I'm like, well, that's the ideal waste of money.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to school for nursing, but you have to take extra stuff you don't need. So what you're saying makes perfect sense. You're not you have to do this. It's, hey, come in, tell us what your needs are. We have something that will help you fix it, but we're not going to make you take a rock history class if you're already a rocker. So that makes perfect sense to me.
That is awesome.
I'll end by saying we make it really easy and we treat everybody like a CEO because everybody gets assigned a student ambassador and an account executive. So you never have to remember where you need to be. That person's reminding, escorting. If you can kind of think of like a golf membership, an elite golf membership, you would have a caddy. That's exactly what we do here. So we put people through orientation. We teach them what the gym looks like, all the floors they can go on. And of course, we keep a mindful eye to participation. If we have a meeting on Monday with 8 of our employees and we go over every student in the dashboard and we have systems set up and they turn certain colors if they disengage. Now, why do we do that? Because we want to control our attrition. But at the same time, we want to help be accountable, because that's what coaching is. And so we have certain mechanisms and levers that are pulled based on the color the student becomes. So when they initially disengage, there's going to be a friendly call made like, hi, how you doing? You must be busy right now. We haven't seen you in class. We haven't seen you doing. Is there anything you need from us that we could? And so anyways, I feel like we've done, a really good job of putting it together. But I'm going to say this, don't ever, don't ever nail the top down on your business. Leave it pliable. We're open to what's going to need to change. We're open to hearing feedback on what we're doing well, or maybe not even doing well, or maybe missing the mark on. And so I think if we stay open to that, we'll continue to evolve with the needs of the people that are working with us.
And that is key. That is key. Awesome. Well, on that note, Christine, how can people find you, learn more, make an appointment to hear more about all of your different services you can provide?
Yeah, well, thank you. The easiest way is to come into an email at info@visionyoursuccess.net. Very simple. They will be able to ask for a free consultation. Someone will get them, learn about what they're looking for. And then a lot of those come directly to me, and I have one-on-ones with those people asking about our firm. That is a function that I perform with my sales team. So, and then of course, we're on all the social medias. Just look up either 2020 Vision for Success Coaching or Christine Beckwith. Please join our Facebook groups, which is 2020 Vision for Success Coaching and Women with Vision. Lots of great information and community going on over there. Thank you both. I'm excited to see this. I'm going to be tuning in to who else comes on here and all the goodness that will come out.
Awesome. Christine, you're fabulous. As always, you're always awesome, and we're a big fan. We wish you all the best in 2021, and thank you so much for all your contribution to our entire industry.
Absolutely.
It was a pleasure to have you. We've been working together with different things for a while, and it's always good to see you on camera, and I'm glad you're doing well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.